University of the People. First of all, that's a blatantly communist name for a university, and universities are blatantly communist. So there you have it. What are you going to do? General education requirements for bachelor's degrees. Now, a degree today has nothing to do with the subject unless you're in like one of the serious like biochemistry or something
or
like
law
that. Or even law.
Even law?
They're taking these courses.
Yeah, you're right. Like 2/3 of your general education is nothing but
unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
These are the credits that you're required to take. Information literacy, online education strategies. What is that? Get that out of my face. Shut up.
Yeah.
Quantitative reasoning, 6 credits required. College algebra, calculus. When I was a kid in high school, these were high school classes.
Correct. And they're going to hit you.
Algebra, calculus, and statistics.
I believe this place is like $200 to $450 a credit hour. So each a 3 credit hour class, it's $1,200 to $1,600 bucks.
Well, they also rope you into the debt machine. That's another thing I want to do an episode on later. How your life has become a subscription. You have to pay for everything in your life now. And if you don't have something to pay for, they'll make something for you to pay for, like, college loans.
Yes. Correct.
7.8% interest on a home loan, where you're never getting out of that debt.
Well, but you see here, like the information literacy, they have only one class to take. You have to take that.
Yeah.
All right. Then you have the 6 credit hours. That means you can take two of the 3 there.
Yep.
Intro to stats and calculus.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Intro to stats should be an 11th grade high school course. I remember that.
Yeah, and actually, I took Intro to Stats, Stat 1, Stat 2, all in the same semester at OU.
Yeah.
So I took the prereq, the main statistical class, and then the advanced in one semester. So I literally came out of one classroom, walked down 2 doors, went into the next one. I don't know how I was able to do that because the professor of the Stats 1 is like, you need to like take the prerequisite. I'm like, oh, I'm taking that at 9 o'clock. It's like, what? I'm taking the prereq, Stats 1 and Stat 2 all in a row, getting it done. I go, how did you do that? I go, I just applied and it just slipped through the cracks.
Yeah.
He goes, well, you're getting a B here, so you're doing okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do about that? Communication, 3 credits required. Composition 2. Again, high school class. Actually, probably junior high school. We used to have to do compositions.
Well, hang on.
Remember writing papers?
No. Well, first of all, when I went to Oakland,
I actually like writing papers. So for him, this is going to be like murder.
I had to take, I went and took the test when I went to OCC. Nobody asked me for SAT or ACT scores because I'd already been in the Army. I was like 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I took the class and they're like, well, you're going to have to take basic rock counting and cave painting and then work your way up to college algebra. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay.
Basic rock counting.
That's exactly what they said.
That's fantastic. They gave this guy rocket launchers.
And now look at this. They have English composition 2, only one selection.
What I like here is values and ethical reasoning, ethics and social responsibility. You know what this is? This is communist indoctrination.
That's exactly what that is. This
is how you're going to think, period.
Yeah. It's one class. You can't get around it. Yep. And if you don't take that fucking class, you are out of the program. Yes. And most colleges have something like this that you can't get around, even though it's completely fucking useless.
Yes. Civilization studies, cultures, and beliefs, Greek and Roman civilization. I'd love to review that class. I'd love to audit that class. I'd be very curious what aspects of that they taught.
Yeah. I mean, when I had to take the humanities, I took intro to religion, and I went through the Buddhist religion, the Islam and Christian religions, and then I did art appreciation 1 and 2, which I thought was a waste of time, but you had to take it. It is what it is. And you're like, why do I need to take this if I want to be a public administrator? You need to be well-rounded, which means you need to be indoct.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Well-rounded, my ass. Mm-hmm. Humanities, 6 credits required. Art history, introduction to philosophy, world literature. I'm guessing we're talking about early Soviet propaganda, Karl Marx, and Frida Kahlo's writings or something like that, because they're not going to teach you anything that's actually
Gonna help you.
Worthwhile. Social and behavioral sciences, 6 credit hours. Introduction to economics, globalization, introduction to health psychology.
Mhm.
That's interesting. Emotional intelligence. I did a short video on that one.
What kind of, like, that's just a fucking excuse. They say you're not emotionally intelligent enough means you are not manipulative.
What
Can't
this,
be manipulated.
what this is, and I cover it in that. I covered that whole class in 8 minutes
I gotcha.
in the vid that I just stuck up on Rumble. Um, these aren't things that should be taught in college unless you're going into like psychology or psychiatry or something like that. There's no reason for you to take a class on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is basically your maturity level.
But either you are,
How do you handle things?
yeah, either you are or you're not.
Yes, correct.
All right. And have a class on it's probably not going to help you out.
And you can learn. You can learn emotional intelligence. Well, most people can learn emotional intelligence.
Don't include me in that. I'm not that guy. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care about your emotions, your feelings. It
Yeah.
doesn't fucking matter. So I would fail that class
Yeah.
because I would hurt everyone's fucking feelings. And all I do is tell them the truth. Yes, your hair looks like a rat nest.
Yeah.
Your one eye is pointing to the left. You smell like cigarettes. You're an idiot. I don't know what to tell you.
You hurt my feelings.
Don't care.
Don't care. That's what I'm talking about. You can learn to get over the hurt feelings thing, and you really should. Thicken your skin. It will serve you.
The only
well.
one on that list for the social and behavioral sciences, like intro to economics, maybe globalization. They're already trying to do that right now. It's failing.
Yes. My favorite here in natural science is the obviousness of this. Introduction to biology, biology 1 for health studies majors. Most people aren't going to want classes like that. They're going to take the coasting class, which is Introduction to Environmental Sciences, which is the propaganda of global warming. It's hot outside right now. It's global warming. No, it's summer, you idiot.
Earth warming, everyone's going to die.
Yes.
Even though they're saying that the sea levels have been rising.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
No, they haven't. Plymouth Rock
It's still there.
It's a rock. It's an actual rock
Mhm.
with the date
That
they landed.
And it's still there.
And the water level around the rock has not risen.
Yep. It's the same.
Yes. There are pictures of the harbor in Australia where the retaining wall that has been there for like 250 years, water level is still
You can still see it.
the same.
It's the same.
Water level is the same.
Yeah.
You know, things like the Great Lakes for a couple of years, the water levels went down and stuff. That's natural.
But here's another.
It happens.
These college students are walking out of just a 4-year degree, brainwashing, $60,000 in debt, and 2/3
Or
of
more.
that debt, or more, and 2/3 of that debt were for classes they didn't fucking need and were completely unwarranted.
Yeah.
Like if I want to become an accountant, I want to go to college, and if I need to learn basic math or work my way up, fine. But I need to take accounting 1, 2, corporate accounting. There's a whole, range of actual classes which will help with that profession. But to get to that core level, I have to take 2/3 of that degree in useless horse shit.
Yeah, the one thing that we didn't do before we started off on this was define credentialism. So I'm going to do that real quick here. I actually hit the share tab button this time.
Okay.
I failed a bunch of those last week. I failed my share tab test.
All right. Well, we'll get it fixed.
Undue emphasis on credentials, such as college degrees, as prerequisites to employment. So this is a defined, known thing. They are perfectly aware that credentialism is going on. And like we've been saying, it's used to gatekeep. So we don't value education any longer. And this is exhibited by the children that are coming out of the schools today. There's a school in Philadelphia where 100% of the class failed basic reading and math.
Yeah.
And another one in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that every now and again, you'll get news stories from the Detroit school district that are completely wiping their ass with the sheets on their way out. They're having whole high school graduation classes where only 3 to 5 people can actually do low-level college algebra out of an entire school.
Yeah.
And and anyone out there says, well, they don't give Detroit enough money. That is
BS.
absolute
That's
fucking
absolute
horseshit.
lie.
They get an insane amount of
Yes.
cash per student, and they squander it because of the corruption, and nobody does shit about it.
It's all kickbacks and payoffs.
This is another subject, so
Absolutely.
we can go into that one.
Oh man, there's a whole bunch of them. Like I worked for a firm down there. We did the police, fire, and rescue retirement fund case.
Yep.
Woo! The level of graft I saw in that, and it's the same thing in the education system. We don't value education; we value the credential. This was written almost 4 years ago now.
Yep.
So it's time for our country to reckon with itself on the deeply held value of education. Is it education that we value, or is it the credentials that result from certain types of education? We've lived in a society that has emphasized the importance of education from the very beginning. Ben Franklin once said, investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So the author clearly isn't as literate as he would like to be, because if you read the sentence again, we have lived in a society that has emphasized the importance of education from the very beginning. Education is the process of gaining knowledge or being taught in school. It's not necessarily knowledge. Ben Franklin once said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Education and knowledge are not the same thing.
Nope.
Similar refrain has been made by nearly every American leader since, and reflected by generations of Americans at dinner tables across the country with George Bush's No Child Left Behind school policy, which was the beginning of all of this, because unbeknownst to us, our buddy George Bush was just one of these POSs.
Well, first of all, that No Child Left Behind,
Yeah.
basically the child that's lagging behind becomes the standard. So they hold everyone back to the dumbest individual in the herd. Well, Darwin dictates
exactly what they've done.
If you're the idiot at the back of the herd, you get picked off by predators.
Yes.
But now we have to hold everyone back.
Yes.
Because of this one fucking idiot. I'm sorry. Fuck that guy and educate everyone to the highest standard. That's just my opinion.
You've missed it.
What?
You've missed it.
What'd I miss?
The idiot is the standard for a reason.
Yeah.
They want a pacified worker drone society that knows just enough to stand on a factory floor, push a button, pull a lever, make a thing, go home to your little one-bedroom apartment. Maybe you'll be allowed to make one or two new cogs, which will be fed into the system and come out to push a button, pull a lever.
So they basically want everyone to be adiatas.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They're deliberately manufacturing worker drones, dumbing people down.
And listen, the whole Bell system,
yeah,
that was put in place to make factory workers, and that started in the 20s or some shit.
Factories are a good way to do production.
Correct.
What the fuck is wrong with me? I need to stop that. Sorry. Henry Ford perfected the assembly line. He just did. He knew what he was doing. But he also paid his workers really well. You'll hear a lot of crap about what he did, but what he did do is pay his workers really well, perfect a bunch of processes. That's not what's being done today, because all of that stuff is automated. It's robots now, a lot of it.
So I've known quite a few guys who are the dudes that fix those robots.
Mm-hmm.
They make decent money.
Sure. They have to have sort of an upper class that could do the fancy stuff, like fix the robots, keep the dam running, keep.
He's dead now, but yeah, it is what it is.
Well, they still have guys like that.
Yeah.
Lurking beneath the surface is the real crisis of conscience for our education system as to whether it values education and learning or simply the credentials that accrue from it. At the core of this are colleges and degrees. I know what it is. I got sunburned really bad this weekend, and it's fatiguing me.
Well, you're out of shape or you're out of years. It's one of the two.
I'm weak and undisciplined.
I'm out of years.
I'm out of years too.
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Colleges and universities do indeed suggest they value education. For example, lifelong learning is one of the most common phrases in college mission statements. But they don't reward lifelong learning in any way. They only reward the learning that comes from the form of degrees, 2-year, 4-year, and postgrad. They don't provide recognition and credentialing for just 1 year of college, nor for the pursuing bachelor's degrees. Look, I have worked in law for close to 17 years now, and with a little bit of studying, I'll bet you I could sit down and pass the bar, but I'm not allowed to. Do you know why?
because you don't have a 4-year degree and a law degree.
That's correct. I do have a 4-year degree. I don't have a law degree.
Oh, okay. Now,
And
I have a 4-year degree, but I am not going to law school.
I
They
have
can
a
suck it.
couple of associate's degrees as well.
There's a bunch of alls they can fuck right there. That's just not
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah. But because I don't have that credential of having gone to law school and earned that particular piece of paper, I can't take the bar and practice law, even though I'm perfectly capable of it.
Case in point, down in Georgia,
Mhm.
we're seeing all kinds of corruption take place.
Yes.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they don't know what they're fucking doing.
Yes.
And they literally are using the system to crush dudes into taking a plea deal, because then they don't have to go to trial and actually show the world they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I like the judge putting people in prison for not telling
Who narked on
him for breaking the law.
Correct. But I mean,
the judge hasn't been removed from the
but that's what you get when you have the lowest denominator getting
Yes.
through the gate, and then people who should be there not allowed because of some bullshit.
That is credentialism in action. One of the laws of unintended consequences in play here is when you have credentialism, eventually somebody who sucks manages to get a hold of one of those credentials, and he gets in, and after a few years, he's the oldest guy in the room now.
Mm-hmm.
The others have left, and he sucks. He doesn't know what he's doing, but he knows he has the credentials, and now he's the gatekeeper of the credentials.
Kind of like that judge.
So he lets other people in who suck.
Yes.
Now your mid-level management sucks too.
Fannie Willis.
And they bring in more people who suck. You see what's happening here?
Big suckathon.
They keep people out who are competent because those people could replace them, and they know this.
Correct.
They're not smart enough to do what they're supposed to do, but they are smart enough to know that if they allow this guy here who actually knows his shit in, that guy could replace him.
Well, here's an example. All right. You heard of Mercedes Carrera?
I have.
She's a porn star. She's been in jail for like 4.5 fucking years. No trial. 38 postponements.
Why are you tracking porn stars in jail?
Well, because she used to be a fan of the show.
Really?
Yeah. I used to talk to her on the side, and she loved what we're doing because we're helping dudes and all that stuff.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm just saying that you should not be in prison without a trial for 5 fucking years.
Why is she in prison for 5 years?
It's a sexual abuse thing. I don't know the whole deal, but still, you should get a fucking trial.
Tawdry.
Yeah. But we had a guy on the show who spent 5 years in Wayne County, and he had 17 or 18 postponements because Wayne County is just as it's more incompetent today than it was when I was a process server in the mid-90s.
The people in prison for January 6th, none of them has had any process.
Correct.
They've been arrested and placed in jail. That's it. And more of them are being placed in jail now. This is, again, credentialism in action because all the people doing the arresting, they're all cronies now at this point.
Yep.
So for 2 or even 3 years of education, aside from a vaguely defined movement on the part of some colleges to offer certificate programs, there isn't much that structures alumni lifelong learning in a formal way either. In reality, lifelong learning is more of a myth than an outcome. Oh, you mean it's a catchphrase?
Yeah.
It's fancy words meant to impress you?
Kind of like their degrees.
Yeah. For the past several decades, champions of education have run well-meaning campaigns to improve college attainment by setting degree accomplishment goals at both the federal and state level. I have a really good idea. Let's give the federal government control of education. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, we've seen it. I mean, they've literally destroyed the education processes across the country.
Yes.
And I have watched the standards go into the toilet over the past 25 years.
Yes.
I mean, it was when I graduated from high school in 1986. I really did not learn much in high school other than how to take a beating, how to, keep a stiff upper lip.
Yeah.
Geometry. I learned that well from Miss Backus 1 and 2. And Mr. Working for English,
I had Mr. Working for English.
Yeah, for composition.
She was a good teacher.
Yes, she was.
She hated the military.
I know. She really freaked out when I told her I was going to be an airborne ranger.
Yeah.
Like, no,
I showed up for the hometown recruiting thing in uniform in Berkeley.
Yeah.
I walked into the high school in uniform and I saw her and I went to say hi.
She
She just did an about face and walked away.
Yep.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Pop for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.